we used to like to attend concerts. Brian was one of the percussionists, and I noticed him right off. I said, what that guy's doing is really cool. And my wife said, yeah, that's Brian Melick, and you should follow him. Watch what he does. He's pretty amazing. And I did.
Most bands, if you're a drummer, you're in the band to keep time. With Brian, it's anything but that.
He's a master. I mean, there's no question he's one of the best in the world.
His palette that he's able to work with is so giant.
And what he brings to it with the different instruments he has and the control he has over those instruments, to his imagination that he brings.
What he brings is the ability to help people reconnect with themselves. And when Brian plays, he reminds everybody it's safe to open.
I believe that he is meant to do what he's doing because he puts his whole body, soul, spirit, everything into it. There's not 1 ounce of him that is not totally present when he's playing, and you can't take your eyes off of him when he's playing because he's having such a great time.
I grew up in a small town called New Baltimore. Some people call it a sleepy little town. I call it a wonderfully cozy place.
Where he lives in New Baltimore, there's quite a community of musicians that get together and play.
A lot of art, a lot of artists, as well as non-artists.
Al Cash, who is a fellow drummer, and he's played with a lot of Albany bands, such as like Fear of Strangers back in the day. He's, played all around the world. So the two of them together playing is really magical. The two of them, like, just trading floors back and forth. It's pure magic.
What drew me to percussion? When I was younger, I was very sick. I had bronchitis really bad. If it was really cold, I used to have to wear a mask. It was almost about a ½ inch thick. Anyways, I shared this with you because apparently, as I know this will be very difficult for people that know me well, I was introverted.
He loves to talk. We know that about Brian. So that will probably come up.
His personality is like off the charts. I mean, the only trouble is sometimes when we want to go after the gig, we want to leave. Brian is still.
A few years ago, I had my first chance to actually see Brian and Kevin McCrell.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house
Do their infamous Christmas skit.
not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
He is such a showman.
Visions of sugar plums danced in their heads.
He has a very good comedic timing. Not only comedic timing, but physical comedy. I'm going, I have to make use of this somehow.
St. Nicholas came with a bound.
And we're going to be doing that thing until we die.
My mother told me the magic of music for me was I started banging on things around the house. That's the cliche, right? My dad, seeing that his son enjoyed banging on things, he didn't get me a set of drumsticks. He found a couple metal rods for me. It's crazy, right? Little boy with these metal rods. My great uncle Earl, who's passed now, he was a professional drummer, and he announced in the middle of a family conversation about something totally non-related, he said, listen, either you buy this kid a set of drums or I'm going to. And my folks looked at my uncle, my dad's great uncle, and Said, "You really think so?" And he said, "He hasn't stopped. I've been here for 6 hours." One of his best friends was Gus Mantis. Gus Mantis had a little drum shop called The Drum Shop. And he set a little 3-piece drum set, that's bass drum, snare drum, and a little tom that would be mounted on the bass drum aside. My next door neighbor had a garage sale and sold his snare drum. That drum changed my life. You know, my mother said it was like I went outside as Brian the introvert, and then all of a sudden this new Brian came in, and she said the old Brian never reappeared.
He networks 24 hours a day. Even when he's sleeping, he's networking.
At 12 years old, my mom and dad brought me home Drums of Passion by that man. And that's Babatunde Olatunji. That man, wow. That man is the reason why I play percussion. The first note that he sings on Drums of Passion, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. That guy's voice, man, because of my work with an African instrument known as an udu drum, brought me so I could meet him. And I was able to tell him face to face what he did for me. I got to play me and Baba. I got to play udu on the backside of one of the buildings at the Omega Institute. Baba said, and I loved it, it was brilliant, when he looked at all of our little faces with our djembes and our ashikos and our congas, and he smiled and he said, "You think you're making those sounds. You're not making those sounds. Those sounds are already in that drum. You're just learning how to get them out." I'm going to just be completely frank with you. I love it. I just love it. I love everything about it. I love the energy of what I get when I sit behind my gear from my gear. I'm loving just sitting here. There's just something about what comes my way, you know. There is nothing. There isn't. I love playing with my sticks, and I love the brushes, and I love the mallets. That's where it starts for me, you know. The other thing is anybody that has ever played music with any other person in the world will tell you there's nothing in the world like that energy and that connection. Me looking at you. I'm not talking to you, but I'm talking to you. And I like to laugh. I treat myself to XM radio because there's like 5 comedy stations on it. I laugh all the way home. I laugh at myself. The audience is a massive component in this. So if that audience comes in and they're in, they don't want to be anywhere in the world but right there in that moment.
The Lego sets that's in the musical museum, like, who is this Michelangelo of percussion that we are blessed to know?
He built his own drum. I mean, who does that? You know, I have some Legos. I think I'm going to make a drum.
His Lego drum set, which I thought was pretty cool. And so did my kids.
Taking the time at like 1 a.m. after a gig to like, you know, design and create and build a Lego drum set? Are you kidding me?
So I have 2 beautiful children. Both of them at certain points in their life fell in love with Legos. My son is sort of upstairs on the same side of the house. He learns about an international convention down in Chantilly, Virginia. One Thanksgiving, he was giving me a lot of heat. I love Legos, and I've been telling Dad for blah, blah, blah years, you know, about this convention, and he doesn't take me, and this and this and that. I interrupted our dinner. I said, give me the dates. I told you every time we talked about this, give me the dates. So now, in front of everybody, I'm saving face. Right? So he gives me the dates, we go. I'm blown away. And they were making curved shapes with Legos. I didn't know you could do that. So I go there and I've got this little crazy idea that I'm gonna make a musical instrument. But what I didn't know is that they had triangular pieces. And the kids affectionately call these cheese wedges. I think I can make a drum. This is crazy. I mean, I don't think anybody has made a Lego drum ever. So anyways, I only could build the shell. There's rules. You have to honor the brick. You can't augment the brick. You can't cut, can't drill the brick. And you must never glue the brick. These are the rules. I got to play by these rules, right? So I put the heads on, I tap around, I tune it up, hit the drum. My jaw hit the floor. It sounded so fat and so full. So of course, you know, being a drummer, I went, okay, I gotta have a kick drum. And so it evolved. So it wasn't a novelty thing, it had to work, and it really worked well. I thought perhaps maybe the rest of the world will get a chuckle out of this. I contacted Modern Drummer without even thinking that they were even gonna bother calling me back. I get a call back from the editor. He didn't even introduce himself. He went, what? They sound amazing. They're made out of Legos and they weren't mic'd. There's no way I could have manipulated it. We must certainly want this in our magazine. He goes, we're gonna put it in our thing called Kid of the Month. I then sent it to the executive director at Percussive Arts. He says the same thing. They sound slamming. He goes, we'd like to have it in our permanent collection at the museum. I went, excuse me? And so that led me to say, well, Jeff, I'm really flattered and I'm really honored. I said, but I use this set of drums. I said, but I'd be honored to make you a set of drums. That now is in a museum in Indianapolis, Indiana, and everybody in the world that comes and visits the museum can play the drums. And I actually have seen videos of people playing them and having a blast with them. I mean, I'm beyond elated. I mean, that's one of those aha moments. And it all happened because my son kept on saying he didn't want to take me.
That's funny.
You know? I am a very spiritual person, and music is a very spiritual experience for me. But spiritual for me, and the way that I define it, is many different ways. And one of those major ways is that you feel me, that you're receiving me. You know what I mean? Just like I want to receive you. You know what I mean? So when you're in a situation like that, that's the ultimate. No, was it easy? No. You know, it's not easy. It's for many reasons it's not. In many ways, when we are doing creative things, we get lost in it. And when you have people in your life, if you lose yourself in absorbing yourself in your time all the time, what are you doing? As much as art and music is widely enjoyed and accepted, it is a constant battle. A series of events put me in a situation that, unbeknownst to me, was going to turn out to be the beginning of my career. 13 years old, Jim Stotts thinks enough of me and hires me. My life changed overnight. He gave me $50 to $100. That was the range at that time. I performed the other day and I was paid $100. This is the crazy about art. Unless you are sprinkled with an opportunity that you're prepared for and you're able to move over that line and that threshold, then you're making money that almost doesn't even make any sense. I'm grateful that I can carve out a living, but do I have a retirement that most people would have? But the wealth comes from another whole place. And I'm excited to tell you that after our meeting today, that's exactly why I can't wait to get in the car and drive an hour south, because I'm going to get to work with some of the most creative individuals in my life right now. You know, I have a very good friend and a colleague that I work with, and she says this one statement: don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle. That's a powerful set of words right there. And many times when I have self-doubt, when I feel like I'm not making it consistently, maybe 2 or 3 months, it starts to play with you. And when you start to have doubt, you find yourself not as excited to shift and go back into the studio like I got lost in yesterday, and just play and experience and go through the motions, you know. And we all fight that. Oh gosh, you know, do I go do that gig, and it's going to be the 4th gig this week where I'm not going to make any money. I'm going to be able to play with creative people, and I'm opening the doors to new opportunities. Can I afford to do that? Or do I shelf everything that I've been working on, and do I go back into working in a conventional environment that's not going to yield me the time that I'm going to need to be able to work on my art? I wonder sometimes if I'm not dreaming big enough. You know what I mean? It's crazy, right? And I'm happy that I live my life with the nothing ventured, nothing gained mentality. I wouldn't have never experienced anything. It's important for any of us, and if we want to move forward to do something, do it. If I never had that in my life, if I wasn't gifted with that by my parents, I would be sitting in a room with a bunch of instruments and no career. Some of the craziest, wonderful things have happened because people have just taken a chance. Nobody put the burden on me. I have met some of the most inspired, creative, amazing, resourceful people. I have also met so many people, Peter, that bought out of their dreams. I would not dare try to walk a mile in their shoes. That was a reminder to me not to give up. Don't stop 5 minutes before the miracle, whatever that means to you. But it's really okay to give yourself that. Because if you want to be a good husband, a good mom, a good grandma, a good grandpa, a good uncle, a good person, you have to be happy. And so pushing the rockets maybe just slightly a little harder. I have met more people, more creative souls. I have been inspired. And because that's what's in my life, it's very hard for me not to be floating around banging my head on the ceiling. It's really quite something when you stop and you think. I mean, when I was younger and I realized that I was saying something, I was touching someone, I was affecting someone. The greatest feeling for me is to know that my work can be the tool for somebody else's work. If they can take that and incorporate that in what they've done, man, I've done it. You know what I mean? I've done something. None of that would ever happen if when given the opportunity, you don't freely just say, I'll give it my best shot. One of the most moving experiences of my life was when I was working with Beth McLaughlin. I heard a grunt, just a simple grunt. But when we got done that day, I turned around and looked at this woman that was fast becoming a friend. She said, "Brian, you wouldn't have any idea what happened today. She said, but did you hear any like sound or a grunt? And I said, well, yeah, but I didn't want to call any attention to it. She said, Brian, that girl's been with us for 6 years. We've never heard her voice. You know, I mean, I was speechless. She looked at me and she said, you need to continue this work. She said, you think that this is about making instruments out of found objects. She said, man, she said, this is so much more. This is communication. She said, there are people in this room that never could share with people. That simple shaker that you made, a lot of those people have never completed anything. It's that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? It's not what we see on the surface.
Growing up, knowing who he was and just how friendly and open and just engaging he was to everyone.
It's so fun to talk with Brian, and you'll go in different directions, and you just always end up, you know, learning something, connecting, and just getting such a generosity of spirit.
I mean, he's an amazing drummer, but he's an amazing person.
Music heals when we simply open our hearts, and we're not performing, we're performing from our essence.
Yeah, and hope someday I do get to play with him. Let's jam.
I want a stage big enough so that Brian is not behind us, Brian is next to us. Over the years, I'm tired of people doing this, to look around me to see him. That hurts my ego.
Most days it all comes clear. We gotta get away from here. Leave this dark and frozen town behind. Head south so we can try and get some hot sand between our toes. Turn your face to the gentle breeze and feel